that to occur. Only if you want that to happen. That's God's love, God's divine love. This love and this love both have the potential to change people around you and change yourself. So I don't know if you've noticed that. Have you noticed that when you show love to somebody, when you show compassion or understanding and kindness to somebody, it's like sometimes they change. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed when other people show you that, you feel different? It's almost like you want to change. It gives you a momentum to change as well. That's the power of love. Even in our relationships, how many of you like to have a relationship without love? It feels pretty bland and ordinary, and oftentimes it doesn't last very long. Isn't that the case? But if there's love there, love is this binding force that can change us for years and years and years. In the first century, I was asked, what are the two main commandments that you can give us? And I said, the first one is you must love God with your whole heart, your whole soul, and your whole mind, and all of your strength. So this is relating to the first one, God's love, and the love you have for God. And then I said, and the second one is this, you must love your neighbour as yourself. So that's the second one, this natural love, developing the natural love. So they are the primary principles of what myself and Mary have been teaching all around the world. Does that make sense? Now, of course, this is a very, very short introduction to a very complicated subject. You understand? So obviously there are many, many more things that we can discuss within this. But if you can see that these are the primary principles, then we've got somewhere we can move from. So the aspect of humility, very, very important. Because it opens your heart to truth. The aspect of truth is very, very important because it's a doorway into discovering more about love. And love is what changes the universe, but it also is what the universe operates upon. So the more you can learn about the love, the better off your life is going to be. Not only your life, but the life of everyone around you as well. Now, if you think about it, the majority of spirituality that we see on the planet, or the majority of almost any form of investigations that we see on the planet, have one of these things missing, generally. And quite often it's quite blatantly missing. Have you noticed that? So let's go back to Christianity as a belief system. Most Christians believe that this is the Bible is the complete written word of God. They believe that you do not need anything else. There is no other truth that you can present. Isn't that what most of them believe? You ask almost any Christian from any denomination and they basically will generally say that. Right? They might not personally believe that, of course, but generally they say that. Now I put to you that that's not humility. Because humility is to be open to all forms of new truth. And if I'm saying that this is the truth and there is no other, then I'm no longer being humble, am I? I'm no longer open to receiving new truth. I'm no longer open to receiving even more truth about myself. So that one statement is proof that true spirituality, humility, does not exist. It's just a way of life or a way of thinking. It's instead of this, so I call all of this true spirituality. Instead of that, it is just a facade. And in fact, I feel it's a lie. Because we're making statements often where one particular thing is said to be true, but the reality is that if it doesn't have these three things in it, it cannot be true. It's as simple as that. It cannot be. And if you can measure everything using those basic principles, and you don't have to be a member of a religion or any other way of life to do that, you can measure these things based on these principles, then you can look at different forms of religious thought You can look at different forms of scientific thought. You can look at different forms of political thought. You can look at different forms of medical thought, and so forth and so forth. And every single one of them has either love or no love in it, or partial love in it. Every single one of them has truth or no truth or partial truth in it. And very few of them have any humility.
I think because many Christians, they are so afraid of the negative power of the evil forces. That's why they are so concentrated on the Bible and what it says, isn't it?
I agree.
It's the fear making it, or what is it?
I agree. Can I just point out, though, that your action was one that was unloving?
Pardon?
You just had an unloving action yourself. It's a beautiful question, but you could have put your hand up.
She didn't see it.
Well, I didn't see it, and you could have moved it so that I could. Does that make sense?
You still didn't see it.
Sorry?
You still didn't see it.
But it's still unloving to interject. Right? So, but let's answer the question. So, you're dead right. Fear is the main reason why we have a lack of humility, or we don't want to look at truth, or we don't want to be more loving. Fear is the main reason. So the fear you had was that I wouldn't see you, and so you had to interject. That was a fear. Does that make sense? That fear drove your action, and that action was then an interjection straight away, an unloving action caused by a fear within. Now, the comment, ironically, that you make about Christianity, you actually displayed yourself in exactly the same moment, which is what we often do. I'm not picking on you. It's what we often do, right? You see, it's like we notice other people do. There's the Christians. Look at what they do. You see that they have all this fear in them. Fear, like you say, about evil forces, like the Satan and the demons. In other words, they would call it, and all this fear. Anything that comes along that seems contrary in any way to what's in here, they go, it's the demons, Satan's behind it. And now this fear is a way of controlling people, but also it's a way of shutting down humility, shutting down truth, and shutting down love. So they also feel that they don't have to be loving in that space. So when Satan's behind something, now I can be angry and firm about Satan being behind it, you see? And that's where they go. They go into this space of no longer being loving in the situation. And fear is the primary dominant factor of that. Yes, I agree completely. Fear is a terrible emotion, actually. It has far more power on the planet than all of us realise, in fact. You think about, even in your own day-to-day life, how much fear dominates your decision-making. For example, how many of you are doing a job, the exact job that you love right now? Yeah, just a couple of us? The exact job that we love. We love going, we just get up every morning feeling passionate to go to work.